What's up, guys? It's Ben with 2020 election predictions, and today I'm going to be doing a video explaining why it is easier than it might seem to predict presidential election results. After the 2016 election, when every single pundit got it wrong, and the polls were just completely off, there's this notion, I think, that it's really just it's kind of a gamble. It's a coin flip, or even harder than a coin flip. It's kind of like gambling when you play with these electoral maps. Like, look, right here, there's 19 undecided territories, 17 states, and two congressional districts. It can seem really daunting, like, oh, is it a coin flip? If we actually do the math here, it is 2 to the 19th power, how many different combinations we can get for, so 524,000 combinations if we assume that all the lean, likely, and safe states don't split. It can seem daunting. Over 500,000 combinations. In this video, I'm going to tell you why that number is a little bit misleading, and that I think the 2020 election will be a lot easier to predict than the 2016 election, and then how the media might make it out to be in some articles. And before I dive into numbers and the raw data, I'm really, really close to my 500 goal. I think I'm at 445 right now with 3 more days to go. I know that's going to be hard to do, but that giveaway, I know y'all wanted $125 total. So please, please, please subscribe in the next 3 days if you want to be eligible for that. So just looking right in, I've told y'all that I really do not like this Real Clear Politics electoral map. Does anyone think that New Mexico is a swing state? If we look back at the 2016 results, Hillary Clinton won the state by 48 points. And, okay, I get we're probably not going to have as strong a third-party candidate as Gary Johnson. I think Mark Cuban was considering it. He dropped out. Some other, Justin Amash, the congressman, he dropped out. I get that. New Mexico is trending leftward, and it hasn't elected a Republican in a long, long time. Not a swing state. I would even consider this state as a likely Biden state. For example, do we think Missouri is really just lean Trump, or do we think it is safe? In my opinion, this is a completely safe state for Trump. He won it by nearly 20 points in 2016, and there's not going to be a lot of movement there. I know in 2008, Obama almost won it, but politics has completely changed from back then. So diving into this race, I think this electoral map is completely wrong. I've told you about it in the past. I fixed it. I think that this map right here in the 272 win is a more accurate map. I really think that only 6 states are going to matter in the 2020 election. And not all these states are rated equal. So if we take it as a given that only 6 states matter, then just using some quick math that we learned in high school probably, we have 64 combinations of what the electoral map could be. And I want to tell you why that is actually a little bit high. And just kind of, I want to compare these two maps too. I could make a separate video on it. How I rate these maps, so the dark blue are kind of the safe states. I think that these are states that each side is going to win by 12 points or more. So Donald Trump's going to win Tennessee or Kentucky by over 12 points, and Joe Biden's going to win New York and California by over 12 points. And then the likely states are the states that each person is probably going to win by a +5 margin. So I do think it's completely reasonable for them to put like New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, or Virginia in the +5 category. Although these all didn't vote for Joe Biden by that same margin, I think it's completely reasonable considering the trends. And like same with Ohio. Ohio voted like +9 for Trump. I think he could win it by +5. And then the lean states are going to be like 2 to 5. So Georgia and Texas, completely reasonable, and Minnesota and New Hampshire. Obviously, they were a lot closer in 2016, New Hampshire, Minnesota, but I agree that these are not necessarily swing states because I think that Joe Biden is a little bit stronger here. But now we have kind of our swing toss-up or swing states, which I think will be decided by an under 2-point margin. And right now, I think maybe 2 to 3 points. I don't know their exact terminology, but this makes sense from my perspective. But these states are all not rated equally. Why I think the election people will be able to better determine the result than 2016 is because we know what states to look at. Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania were not even on the radar in 2016 by most pollsters or most like election prediction people like me. But now hindsight is 2020. Do you like the pun there? So we know that these states are going to be swing states, even if the polls right now don't have them as swing states, and most the polls do. Second, the polls have improved. I think a lot of the methodology of the polls has improved. Obviously, I've seen some really bad polls so far. Florida, Joe Biden is not up by 5 points. I'm sorry that the 2018 midterms, the polls were way off by 6 or 7 points. I don't believe that Joe Biden is up by 5 points, and I don't care if you're a Joe Biden supporter or Donald Trump supporter. That's just how I feel. I think you can make that determination and be unbiased. And next, thirdly, 2020 is not that much different than 2016. So I think the same states are going to be in play. Like obviously 2008 was much different from 2016 because there was like a transformation in politics. John McCain didn't even come close, or Mitt Romney didn't even come close to winning these states. But the difference between 2016 and 2020 is not as wide as it was between 2012 and 2016 because we have similar candidates on the ballot. Joe Biden's going to have a little different appeal than Hillary Clinton, but not as much as like Mitt Romney and Donald Trump, just because they're polar opposites. Mitt Romney's probably not even going to vote for Donald Trump, and both of them were at the head of the Republican Party. That is just crazy to me, and that just shows how much our politics has shifted. Anyway, getting back into the point of this video, I don't think all these states are rated equally, so I would put them on a scale. So, like, for example, we're never going to see – I'll just shift to this map real quick. We're never going to see Michigan and Pennsylvania. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see this map. And this is one of these 64 outcomes that would be allowed if we only say that these 6 states are in play, which I really think is kind of the correct outcome. So we can nix this off. I don't think that Wisconsin is going to go blue before Michigan and Pennsylvania. I think Michigan and Pennsylvania are a little bit more blue than Wisconsin. I think it would be a lot more realistic if we actually flipped these. And this is actually my current prediction for the race, even though I might tweak it a little bit in my future videos. Like, I think this is a completely reasonable thing. And I would just kind of rank my states in order of if I think they're red or blue. So just starting from the most Republican states, I think that North Carolina is. In the 2016 election, that's the 2012 election, 2016 election. Donald Trump won the state by over 3 points. It's in the solid South. I don't see a ton of movement in the state of North Carolina. Arizona, Donald Trump won by a very similar margin, but Arizona has been trending leftward a lot. So I would say North Carolina is the most Republican states out of these. Next up is Florida. And I know some people might start to question that, but look, Donald Trump won this state by 1.2 percentage points in 2016. And in 2018, the polls were completely wrong. Ron DeSantis, he was not a very strong candidate, I would say. I mean, he barely came out of the primary, and he kind of just attached himself to Donald Trump so much. But he ended up winning, and so did Rick Scott, who was a fairly popular senator, so that makes sense. But in the 2018 midterms, so I think that Donald Trump has kind of held on to his core base in Florida, a lot of older population, and a lot of older folks are moving to Florida. One thing that might throw a screwball is that they did on the 2018 ballots allow ex-felons to vote. So a lot of them were disenfranchised if you committed a felony. A lot of these people are going to get their right to vote again. So this might shift it a little bit. I haven't looked exactly at the registration numbers, but that would be something interesting to look at. Next, I'm kind of between Wisconsin and Arizona. I'm going to put Wisconsin as the next most Republican state. It is the most Republican friendly out of the rest, but I've been saying that for a while. Scott Walker nearly won re-election here in 2018 in the 2018 wave year, and it has the highest white population out of the Rust Belt, and typically the working class whites you see as Donald Trump's base. Next up would be Arizona. A lot of the polls have this lean towards Biden, and I do think Mark Kelly will help Joe Biden down ballot, and Martha McSally might hurt Donald Trump. But I think the polls kind of exaggerate its movement to the left, and I think that Donald Trump could pull out a victory here again. And then next up, Pennsylvania and Michigan. Pennsylvania is Donald Trump's hometown. Michigan, I think it has the lowest white population out of these four states, actually, even if you include Iowa and Ohio. So that's kind of how I would rank these states. So I don't think we're going to see Arizona be red or Arizona be red and North Carolina blue. Like, this isn't really an outcome that I think anyone would even predict. So at the end of the day, if I had to have like my top three election results, this is how it would be. So it would be the same thing as this map, everything the exact same. I would have North Carolina and Florida be blue, Michigan and Pennsylvania be blue, and then it would be a coin flip for here. I think right now Wisconsin leans it, and then Arizona, frankly, is a coin flip. I think that my first two election outcomes would be Arizona being blue and Arizona being red. I would have to do more research. Right now, actually, this is a little bit of change from my last electoral outcome. I would have Arizona being blue. And if we add up the electoral votes here, it doesn't matter what. There we go. Obviously, this would hand the election very narrowly to Joe Biden, and the congressional district in Nebraska doesn't matter a lot unless Donald Trump wins Arizona. But if Donald Trump gets to 269, I'll explain this in a later video, he will win the election due to the tie rules. So this was kind of a long-winded way of saying I think the election is going to come down to at least under 6 states. 6 states are under. And then under that, I think 2 states are going to determine the race, Wisconsin and Arizona. I think it's going to be a lot easier to predict. I think right now I could come up with 10 different electoral maps, and one of them would be right by election day. And I think even closer to election day, that would be maybe even under 5. So please leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think of this video. Tell me if you think I'm being over optimistic. And also, I would love for there to be a way to put my money where my mouth is. I would love to. So if there's a website besides Predict It, where I could like put my money where my mouth is, if you think that I'm BSing, I would love to see that. And tomorrow, be on the lookout for a video on Trump's best electoral outcome scenario. So please leave a comment, please like, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a nice day and see you tomorrow.